So segments and angles. Now we're talking just about the angles. So there are 6 different angle types. And this is like the basis of all geometry because there is so many angles. Every time we do a problem, 99% of the time you're going to have an angle in it. So knowing these 6 types of angles will set you up for the entire year. Okay, so you are going to have them memorize the types of angles that they are. But we're going to go through each one and we're going to talk a little bit about what you see. So when we're done, we're going to cut them on these little like dotted lines and it'll kind of like flap open. Cute little foldable. All right. And so we're going to start with the ones at the top. So we're going to start on the left over here with adjacent angles. Has anybody here heard the word adjacent before? Yeah, Angel? A couple of us? Does anybody know what the word adjacent means? Oh my gosh, yes, it means next to. So when we talk about angles that are adjacent, we're going to literally talk about angles that are right next to each other. They're touching right next to each other. So we're going to open up my little flap here. Okay. Adjacent angles are 2 coplanar angles. What does coplanar mean? Well, you're close. You're close. Co means they're together. What does plane mean? What's a plane? They're together on a plane. Yep, so they're on the same flat surface, coplanar angles. So 2 coplanar angles with a common side, a common vertex, and no common interior points. So in other words, adjacent angle just means next to. They're next to each other. And when we're talking about a common vertex and a common side, that's just a really fancy way of saying they have to be touching each other. Have to be touching. So they're next to and they're touching. Next to and touching. So in this picture here, you have a whole bunch of different angles. You've got angle 1 is over here. So the angle goes from one of the rays all the way to the other ray. That's an angle. From one ray to the other ray. Those are the angles there. So you've got 5 different angles. Hey, take them for a moment. You've got 5 different angles in this picture. So we're going to take a look. We're going to see if these are true or false. So the first one says angle 2 is adjacent to angle 3. So here's angle 2. There's angle 2. Right, that yellow on the side. And then angle 3 is right here. So, are those 2 angles next to each other? Yes or no? Heck yeah, they're next to each other. Are they touching each other? Yeah, they share a side right over here. So, is this true or false? Are they adjacent? Yes, they are. True. Okay, angle 4 is adjacent to angle 1. Angle 4 is adjacent to angle 1. So here's 4 in pink. And then here's angle 1 in orange. Are those 2 angles next to each other? No? Yes? They're not touching. Where are they touching? Just right at the vertex. Yep, right in the middle. But in order to be adjacent, they have to share one of these sides. So they are definitely not sharing a side, right? 4's over here, 1's over here. They've got an angle right between them. So are they adjacent? No, this is false. Easy peasy, right? 2 angles right next to each other, that's adjacent. Great, you just figured out 1 type of angle type. Whew, only got 5 more. Next one, we're going to go kind of like, I'm going to go across. Okay, we're not going down, we're going to go across. So the next one is going to be right next to it, vertical angles. Have you heard vertical before? Yeah, what does vertical mean? Up and down, yep. So in geometry, vertical angles are a little different. It does not necessarily mean up and down. Vertical means 2 angles whose sides are opposite rays, and vertical angles are congruent. So here's what that means. When you have 2 angles that make an X, the vertical angles are the ones that are directly across from each other. So if you've got an X I'll do it on the back over here. I've got an X here, right? Here's my angles. There's 4 angles in this picture. Vertical angles are the ones that are across from each other. So which angle is across from angle 1? Directly across. Angle 3. So angle 1 and angle 3 would be considered vertical angles. Which one's across from angle 2? Angle 4. So 2 and 4 are considered vertical angles. So vertical means across. Hi, my dear. You must be my new human I just saw on my thing today. What's your name?
Preston.
Preston. Okay. We're going to put you... The whole table's... We'll sit you... My net sits there. So right next to Tegan right here. Tegan, raise your hand, babe. You sit right next to him. Okay, and then you're going to grab a paper from the back, and that one says it's the one that says geometry. All right. So vertical angles means 2 angles whose sides are opposite rays, or in other words, they're across from each other, and vertical angles are congruent. What does the word congruent mean? Have you heard that word before? You've heard it before? Do you know what it means? Here, I'll give you a hint. Ready? Your right hand and your left hand, they're congruent. They're the same. Yes, they're equal to each other. 2 things that are congruent have the same size and the same shape. Same size and same shape. So congruent means, let's write that down, same size, same shape. So they have to look literally exactly the same to be congruent. Okay, so in this first one here, I tell you that this angle over here, ACD, this whole really big thing is 153 degrees. Now, which one is directly opposite of it? Which one's the vertical angle? The opposite side, right over here. Now, we have to name it with 3 letters. Do you remember how to name them? No? So you have to pick the 3 letters on the angle, and the middle point has to be the second letter that you said. So BCE is one way I could name it. What's another way I could name it? ECB. Yep, both of those work. You can go back or forth. Okay, so this one over here is 153 degrees. Since this angle right here is vertical, what does that mean this angle has to be as well? It has to be the exact same thing. So this angle is also 153 degrees. They're the same. So the question over here says, what's the angle of the measure of angle BCE? Well, you just figured that out. It's exactly the same, 153. Easy peasy, right? Vertical just means the same. Okay, let's take a look at number 4. Now this one looks a little different. Why? You got to do some algebra. Remember I told you guys geo is just algebra with pictures? Here's your algebra with a picture right here. So I give you this angle over here, UWX. I tell you this angle right here is 5x plus 6 degrees. Which angle does it have to be exactly the same as? VWI, the one that is right across from it. These two better be exactly the same. So if I told you that this angle right here was, let's just say I said it was 30 degrees, what does that mean this angle over here has to be? It better be exactly the same. Yes. Now, instead of me giving you numbers, I gave you equations. What do you think I'm going to do with the equations if we know that both of them are the same? Just do one of them? Okay, but then what am I supposed to set it equal to? What do you mean? Exactly. And which other one? Well, not this one, because look, there's nothing there, right? I'm not giving you anything. I'm only giving you these 2 angles that are across from each other, that are exactly the same. What symbol do we use to say that something's exactly the same on both sides? What math symbol do we use? The equal sign, yeah. So this should be equal to this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take these two equations and set them equal. I'm going to do 6x minus 3 equals 5x plus 6. And guess what this is, my dears? It's your favorite. It's algebra. What should I move first? Move the x's. Which one you want to move? 5x. Good choice. How do I move it over to the other side? Subtract it. Good. If I work from left to right, 6x minus 5x gives me just a 1x. I bring down everything else. Minus 3 equals 6. Okay, now what? Add the 3, yep. I get x equals 9. Am I done? No, what do I have to do now? Well, yeah, I do have to divide. You're right, because I did have a 1 there. Divide by 1, but what happens when I divide by 1? What's 9 divided by 1? Ooh, so this is saying like if I have 9 cookies and 1 person, how many cookies does that 1 person get? They still get all 9 cookies. So any number divided by 1 just stays the same. Well, that's great, yeah, but now I want to know the measure of the angle UWX. So what do I have to do with that 9, Chelsea?
Plug the 9 in where the X is.
Exactly. I have to plug the 9 in where the X is. Now, technically speaking, does it matter which one I plug it into? Why not?
Because they're going to be equal either way.
They're same. Yeah, they're the same. So you could plug it into this one, or you could plug it into this one. You're going to get the same answer. I am going to plug it into this one, though, because this looks easier. Some addition, right? So 5, and then instead of an X, I put a 9. 5 times 9 plus 6. What is 5 times 9? 45. And what's 45 plus 6? 51. Very good. Now, when I put my answer, I'm not just going to put 51. I'm going to put 51 what? Degrees. We're talking about an angle. So your final answer is 51 degrees. Okay. So vertical angles are just across from each other. So when you see an X and you see two angles right across from each other, you should set them equal. They're the same. Questions so far? Feeling good? I'll take your no responses. An overwhelming yes. You just feel so confident right now. Okay, let's try the next two. Complementary and supplementary angles. I think you might have heard these words before, have you? Perfect. Beautiful. Yes, complementary is half of supplementary. Exactly. Now, when I say complementary, I don't mean like I'm giving you a compliment. That's not what this means. Complementary in math, this is spelled differently. It means something different. Technically, it's a homophone. Do you know what a homophone is? English lesson. Homophone? No one's heard that word before? Where it sounds the same, but it's spelled differently, like a compliment and a compliment here. Like I could give you a compliment, right, and say, you guys are so smart. Or I could say, this is compliment. The angles are compliment. No? Never heard that before? Well, go tell your English teacher you learned something new today in math class. Homophone is what it's called. Sounds the same, looks different. Okay. There's your English lesson for the day, friends. All right. Complementary angles are two angles whose measures have a sum of 90 degrees. What does sum mean? Sum of 90 degrees. What does the word sum mean you're doing? Yep, you're getting your total by doing what? By addition. Yep, by adding the two. So here's all you're going to do for complementary angles. You're going to take one of the angles. You're going to add the second angle to it. You're going to add the two angles together. And then you're going to set it equal to 90 degrees. So that's how you're going to set it up. Add the two angles together, set it equal to 90. So take a look at number 5. I give you this angle right here on the right, EGF, is 74 degrees. And I want to know angle DG, excuse me, DGE, which is right here in pink. So how am I going to figure that out? What do you think? Chelsea, what do you think? Why? Exactly. You're just undoing the addition. So Chelsea's saying, hey, this whole thing's 90 degrees. I already have 74 of the 90. All I have to do is subtract those two numbers. And I'll get my answer. What is 90 minus 74? 16 what? Degrees. Good. Now look at that. You're done. Huh. Easy, right? Complementary is 90 degrees. Do you guys remember what the symbol is for 90 degrees? It's like an L. What do you mean?
90 degrees is an L, but the symbol is an L.
It's an L, but there's something very important that goes inside of the L. There's a little box. Yes. So anytime you see a box, boom, a box, that means it's 90. So look up here, back at the problem above it. This little box right here, that means this is 90 degrees. That's something really important to know. I will never tell you that a box means 90 degrees. That's something you're going to have to know, right? So on a test, if I give you a box, you got to know, hey, that means 90 degrees. Beautiful. All right, number 6, same thing, except what do I do for number 6? What's different about this problem? Algebra. So how am I going to set up this problem? I want to add together the two angles and set it equal to 90. How am I going to set up this problem? What do you think? What do you mean? So tell me physically the equation I'm going to write down. Oh, not quite. That would say that these two pieces are exactly the same. If I put an equal sign between them, that means they're the same. That's not what I want to do. Chelsea?
Do 11x plus 2 plus 6x plus 3 equals 90.
Equals 90. Good. So here's all we're doing. We're taking the two small pieces, we're adding them together and setting them equal to 90. Do you remember we did that like last week? We added the two small pieces together to give me the whole thing. That's exactly what this is. But the whole thing this time is 90. So you're going to add together these two and set it equal to 90. So I'm going to do 11x plus 2 plus 6x plus 3 equals 90. Oh my gosh, I have to write really small. Now, in lieu of us doing this whole algebra problem, I'm just going to tell you what the answer is for x. Okay? Is that okay with everybody? It is not. It is 5. Yeah. So I'm just going to give it to you because I care more about us setting up the equation than physically doing the algebra right now. Okay, so you would do all this work. I'm going to put dot, dot, dot. Right? You would do the algebra problem, and you would get x equals 5. But what would I have to do with that 5? Plug it in. Now, which one am I plugging it into, or does it matter? The green one or the pink one? You could plug it into both, but which question am I asking you for? The green one, G, K, H. That means start at G, go towards K, and at H. That's the green one. So I want to plug it into the green one, but you could plug it into both to check your answer. That's not a bad choice. So if we plug it in, anywhere I see an X, I should plug in the number 5. So I've got 6 times 5 plus 3. What do you got? Oh, 33. 33 what? Degrees. Always put a degree symbol when we're talking about an angle. Now, if Miss Mass was smart, she would plug it into this one too, just to be sure that her answer was right. So, what is 11 times 5? 55 plus 2 is what? 57. So this one here is 57 degrees. So now let's check our work. If I add together 57 and 33, what do you get? You get 90. Is that what I wanted to get? Yes, it is. So I did it right. So that's a great way to just check your work. So if you plug it in and you don't get 90, well, then you've done something wrong. All right, questions so far. We feeling good? Now, complementary means they added up to 90. Supplementary means they add up to 180. So it's the exact same setup, except this time I'm going to add both of the angles together and set them equal to 190. So add the two angles, angle plus angle equals, 180 degrees. And what does 180 degrees look like in this picture? It's a straight line. Yeah, 180 degrees is a straight line. Okay. So number 7, we're going to find the missing angle measure. I give you this angle right here, PRS is 54 degrees. How am I going to figure out this angle QPR over here in green? Subtract what? Beautiful. Perfect. That's it. 180 minus 54. And that'll give you my answer. Right? Because I've already used up 54 of the 180. So if I subtract the 2, I get 126 degrees. Easy peasy, right? So easy. So now in number 8, I've got 2 different angles. And what I want to do is I want to solve for x, and I want to set it up as angle plus the angle equals 180 degrees. So I want to take the pink angle here plus my green angle and set it equal to 180 degrees. Who can tell me the actual equation that I want to write down? Not Chelsea, because she's answered like 10 questions. Someone else. Someone else. How do I write the equation? What do you think? Come on, friends. Let's give it a go. Eddie, why don't you go for it? Thanks for not making eye contact. Give it a try. How do I set up the equation for this one, number 8? Equals? Beautiful. That's it. 12x minus 1 plus 4x plus 5 equals 180. So we're just adding the 2 together, right? You're adding this pink angle plus this green angle, and you're setting it equal to 180. Okay, just like before, again, I don't want to go through all the algebra with you because I believe in you, and I don't want to spend the time doing algebra right now. I'm not in the mood. So I'm just going to give you what the x value is. Your x value is 11 degrees. Well, just 11, actually. Sorry, it shouldn't be degrees, just 11. Okay. And then what do I do with that 11? Now you got the x. Now what do you do with the x? Angel? You got what? Replace the x. Yeah, plug it in. Plug it in. So you guys do it on your own. Plug it in. Tell me what you got. Which one should you plug it into? The 12x minus 1 or the 4x plus 5? What am I asking for in this picture, Chelsea? Okay. What am I asking for, though? The other one, but that's okay, because if you already know this one, if you plugged it into the green one and you got your number, couldn't you just do 180 minus that number? And then you're left with what you got. Yeah, so it really doesn't matter which one you plug it into, because you can still get both in the end. When you plug it in, what do you get for the pink angle here? 12 times 11 minus 1, what do you get? 131. And then if you plug it in over here, Chelsea, what'd you get over here? 49. So if you wanted to, you could check your work. Does 49 plus 131 equal 180? Yes, it does. And you're good. Okay, so half the battle is really just, can you set the equation up right? And then the other half of the battle is solve for x. It's just algebra. Okay, questions so far? You feeling good? All right, we got 2 more. We're so close. We're doing grand, friends. Okay. Next one is called a linear pair. Now, what word do you see within that? Within the word linear. What's the base word there? Line. Exactly. Now, we just did that. We just did a line right over here. How many degrees are in a line? 180. So a linear pair, we're going to literally set up exactly the same way we set up supplementary, because it's going to be 2 angles that when we combine them, give me a straight line, 180 degrees, right? A straight angle. So to set these up, I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did before. I'm going to add the 2 angles together, angle plus the angle. And I'm going to set it equal to 180. So it's the exact same setup as supplementary. Add the 2 angles, set them equal to 180. Okay, do you think you could do number 9 at least? Yeah, try number 9. Try number 9 and tell me what you got. Whoa, I just hit my head. Someone that's not Chelsea, love you, Chelsea, but I need someone else to answer. So you're like hogging all the answers today. Okay, for number 9, if I gave you this one's 163 of the 180, how do I figure out this pink angle over here? What do you think? Subtract what? Exactly. Beautiful. 180 minus the 63. And if you do that, you should get 17 degrees. Perfect. Beautiful. Easy peasy, right? It's not hard. Now, in number 10, it's the same setup, but I gave you equations. So it's just like what we did before. I have to add the 2 together, and then I'm going to set it equal to what a linear pair is, which is 180 degrees. So who can just give me the equation? What's the equation? What's my equation look like? Perfect. Perfect, perfect. I'm running out of room. Sorry. Okay. So you're just adding the 2 together, setting it equal to 180. Again, I'm going to give you the answer for x because we're not going to solve it right now. And you're going to get x equals, if you do this correctly, what did I get? 15. So now that you got your x value, the question asks you for GEF, which is the one in pink. So you're going to do what with that 15? Yep, put it in. Plug it right in. So 6 times 15 plus 5. So 6 times 15 is 90. 90 plus 5 is 95 degrees. So like I said, half the battle is just, can you set the equation up right? And then the other half of the battle is, can you solve for x and plug it in, right? So can you do the algebra and can you do the geometry, which is setting the equation up the right way? That's the part I care more about. If you make an algebra mistake as you're going through, okay, fine. But if you can set up the equation the right way, that's half the battle. That's the important part, okay? Okay, last one. Okay, last one. It is called an angle bisector. Has anybody heard the word bisect before? No? Well, the word bi means what? You think about the word bi. Think about like a bicycle. It means two, right? Bisector means you've got two pieces that are exactly the same. So an angle bisector is a ray that divides an angle into two congruent angles. So here's what that means. If I have an angle, and let's say the whole thing, the entire thing is 100 degrees, the bisector goes right through the middle. What does that mean each one of these angles has to be? 50. They have to be equal to each other. So that's it. That's all angle bisector is they are exactly the same, so you can set them equal. So let's take a look at 11. It says SQ bisects angle PSR. So you've got now two small pieces, and those two small pieces are exactly the same. So if this pink angle is 41 degrees, what does that mean this green angle has to be? Better be 41 degrees too. So in total, well, actually that is it, QSR. That's all it asks for, that green angle, 41 degrees. But if I asked you for the whole thing, what would the whole angle be? 82 degrees, exactly. So the whole angle is 41 plus 41. Oops. And that's it. So when we talk about angle bisectors, we are taking the two angles, and since they're the same, we are setting them equal. So we're going to take one angle and set it equal to the other angle. Setting them equal. So in number 12, you've got those two angles there. The top one I told you is 7x plus 5, and the bottom one I'm telling you is 10x minus 1. So if they're exactly the same, how should I set up my equation? Perfect. Just set them equal. So if things are the same, set them equal. 7x plus 5 equals 10x minus 1. And then again, algebra. So again, I'm not going to make you do it. Your x value is going to be 2. And then what should I do now that I have that 2? Plug it in. Doesn't matter which one I plug it into. No, why not? They're equal. They're exactly the same. So you plug it into whichever one's easier for you. So I'm going to plug it into this one. 10 times 2 minus 1. So you get 19 degrees. And you're done. So here's what I want you to notice. Okay, as I kind of zoom out here. This is the important part, how to set up the equation. So if you don't have this part written down with the angles, that's what I need you to write down. I don't know if I wrote it for the vertical. For vertical angles, you're saying they're the same, so you're taking the angle and setting it equal to the other angle. So the same. So here's the whole thing. Here's what I want you to see. You are either, you only really got two choices. Either you're setting the angles equal to each other. So if they look the same, you're setting them equal. If they don't look the same, then you are adding them together. And you can only add them together to equal 180, a straight line, or 90 degrees with the little box. That's it. Those are your only choices. That's it. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right, so now I know we only have just a couple moments left. There is some glue sticks, so I would love for you to glue that into your notebook, or if you want to staple it into your notebook, that's cool too. Don't glue it closed, and don't staple it closed. Okay, I'm gonna staple mine just like this right into my notebook, and this was our 8th page in our notebooks. Okay, tomorrow we're going to do an online practice. How many of you have an electronic device you can bring in tomorrow? Raise your hand.
What?
How many of you do not have an electronic device that you can bring in tomorrow? It's okay if you don't, but just tell me and I'll print it off for you. If you do not have one, that's okay. Nice and high, you're fine. 1, 2. Anybody else not have one? Okay, so tomorrow you are going to need a electronic device because we're going to do an online Canvas practice with questions that look like this. So you're going to set them up and you're going to solve some equations, okay? You can work with a partner tomorrow, but definitely bring an electronic device for tomorrow. All right, that's all I got for you. You guys did a great job today. Glue it into your notebooks. And then you guys got a couple minutes to just chill out before the bell rings. What? Stop recording. You're fine. I'm recording just myself. Yeah. Oh, that was so painful. That looks so painful. That looks